Hi, I'm Blake Bettner, Managing Editor at Worn & Wound, and this is the 2020 Virtual Windup Watch Fair. I recently had the opportunity to speak with Etienne Malec, founder of Baltic Watches, about their new line of GMTs. We're excited to have a first look at these new pieces here at Windup. Without further ado, here's our interview with Etienne. Etienne, welcome to the Virtual Windup Watch Fair. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for listening to what I have to say.
So for those unfamiliar, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and your brand, Baltic.
Yeah, so I'm Etienne Malec, the founder of Baltic. Baltic has been founded like in 2017, so 3 years ago. So it's pretty young. We've done a launch on Kickstarter, which is a website that many of you know, I guess. And we launched on Kickstarter two different watches, the Bicompax number 1, 001, and the HMS number 1. So that were the two first watches were very focused on. And so it's been 3 years, and since we actually launched a few more watches as the Aquascaph and few iteration in between. So every watches are assembled in France. We are a French company, and to tell you a bit more about myself, I'm passionate of watches since I was 15. So it was 15 years ago as well. And the story behind Baltic is actually starting when my father died when I was 5. He died from a disease, and he was a collector. He was a photographer professionally, and he was collecting cars, watches, and cameras. So I took back his collection of watches because the cars were sold, unfortunately. And so the watches were remaining there, and it was for me kind of the way to connect to a father that I never knew before, because at 5 you actually don't have any memories, kind of. So it was a way for me to connect with a father I didn't know, and it was really important to go deep in that, to learn about why he did collect this type of watches or the other type of watches. There were approximately 100 watches. Many of them were, coming from the flea market, and maybe half of them were like what we call pretty nice piece of horology today. So it was great to, start this passion with that, with the story of my father. And after that, I was starting to, going to GTG to meet other collectors. I was reading a lot, and one day I had the luck to found Baltic. So it was like 4 years ago. And 5 years ago, actually. And so it was kind of a dream, and this actually happened. So I'm very happy and proud to be working for that today, to make cool watches. And well, that's kind of where it started.
No, that's an incredible story, and I'm sorry to hear about your father, and the story that you have and how you carry that with you today. Do you find that the inspiration from his collection and from his notes has manifested itself in the designs that you produce today?
Yeah, actually, so he gave me a note, like a book, with all the old watches he was collected. The one he sold, the one he swapped with other watches, because during the 80s, they were mainly like swapping watches between collectors. I don't know, it was maybe more simple, in the approach, compared to today, where it's maybe a little bit more related to do a good deal or something like this. So before, it was maybe a smaller group of collectors, but they were exchanging a lot. So I still have actually this book. So I was able to check the archive of his collection. And today, because I've sold some of the pieces to take care of the pieces that needed to be cared, some of them hasn't functioned for years. So there was a lot of process going to the watchmakers, take care of the very cool pieces, some of the very cool pieces that were broken, for example. So I've sold few watches to finance this. I've sold few actually that I didn't like as well, because for me this collection has to live. So maybe for some people, I should have stayed. This collection should have stayed in this state, without touching it. But for me, it has to live, and it has to go to the next step. So with my brother, we were kind of buying watches, selling some. And during that period, I just, I don't know, I had my own taste as well. And during the process of making Baltic, making the creation of Baltic, I was able to take what I liked the most from this collection. There were mainly chronograph, a few divers, and I was, looking in details about proportion, about the things I liked the most. And this was a really good basis for having a culture of watches, basically. Because I think that today, when we are making watches, we need to have a certain amount of culture to understand what we do, because it's a pretty complex product. It's really small, but there is a lot of things going in that object. So it needs to be really thought. And this collection has led me to, have something physical to start. So yeah, that's the story of my father is pretty sad, but that's life. And after all, it does make the story of Baltic today. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get to some of the watches. A little earlier this year, you released an HMS and Bicompax #2. Tell us a little bit about these watches. They're kind of based on some designs that you had worked with us at Worn and Wound on for some limited editions. Tell us about the new colors and the process that went into choosing those color schemes.
So actually, this watch is kind of this was a little bit of a different process than usual. Usually, I was designing the watches on my own. For the Bicompax and HMS Mark II, we did a little bit differently, because I met a guy who is an artistic director and a designer, and we have basically the same taste, in watches. We share a lot of things that we like. So for One and One, for the collaboration, we've started to work together to do something that we liked. So we together made the ideas, and we were just, confronting them together to see what we can do. And this was actually the basis for, finding this dials with the crosshair sector dial, the step case, which were the same than before, but it was still something that we wanted to work on. The step dial as well, that was kind of new process for more on the technical aspect, but it was pretty interesting to try these new type of dials. So with Yas, with the designer I was speaking about, we really focused on that. And so for 1&1, we've choose together with you guys the salmon color, which was very cool actually. The feedback were amazing. We were really surprised of all the things going around these two release, and this was absolutely awesome. And we really wanted to to make this first, to be able to continue on colors that were a little bit more I would say accessible, because for us, because many of the people think that we did the salmon because we knew that it would be successful, but actually you never really know if it's the case or not. So for us, it was logical to keep working on this because we've put a lot of work into the new dials. And we were thinking that it was logical to have maybe colors that were more simple to wear. So this is actually why we've done the silver, which is great, I think. It's very light. There is, I don't know, very bright. There is a lot of of light reflection going on that dial, and I think it's one of the best. But with the two others as well, we wanted to use again, the blue gilt that we used on the two Mark I before. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so basically we wanted to have maybe more basic color, which seems to be basic, but actually when you put the watch on the wrist, there is so much going on that it's pretty amazing. I really love the new colors, and yeah, we will still work them for the years to come. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, they look fantastic in the flesh. So let's move on to something a little more recent. You just this week and today, in fact, are releasing your first GMT model. Tell us about how this project came about, and tell us a little bit about the watch.
Well, this one, I guess.
Yeah.
The GMT for me is the biggest project we had so far. It's my own favorite project because in my watch life, let's say, the GMT was always the complication and the watches I like the most. I bought my first watch for graduation at 18, and I was lucky to get a Rolex GMT. And for me, it's I don't know, there is something very unique, in the history of these watches. It's very like a poetry, it's something that make you travel a little bit. The two colors, there is many things that are really communicative in the GMT. So actually, when we released the Aquascaph, we were already like, it's been now a bit more than 2 years and a half, almost 3, since we had the idea to do the Aquascaph, which was actually kind of the same moment than where we released the Kickstarter. So it was very early in the process, because it's always very long to develop a new watches. But the GMT was already in the pipe when we were thinking about the Aquascaph, because that was really logical to do it. And for me, it was, like the main focus almost, to succeed, to do a good GMT. But we wanted to make it after the Aquascaph, because it was more logical to release the diver first and then to do the GMT. And for the GMT, we had technical limitation that needed to be overcome. So this was a longer project, but I'm really pleased with the result. I think it's a tremendous watch. Very unfortunately, my GMT of the 16750 is sleeping in the safe, and this one hasn't seen the light since I received the first prototype of GMT. And you don't see, guys, because I cannot post them, all the prototypes we have in the office, but this is the one I wear the most now. Sure. So we are really happy, really proud, and we really hope, that it will be well received, but let's see how it does.
Yeah, I think when most people hear GMT, they think kind of the iconic Pepsi bezel. Was it a conscious decision on your part to kind of stay away from those two colors specifically and kind of develop your own color schemes for this watch?
Yeah, well, for sure, this has been thought, to make a Pepsi. I cannot say that we're never going to do it, neither. But I think that we need to explore different scheme of colors before. And we've tested 3 schemes, which are, not seen everywhere, but it's still very, easy to wear. We've done something different. One is maybe a little bit more discreet, the gray and blue. One is very cold, the blue and green, and one is shining a bit more, which is the orange. And I think that there is kind of a line that we've followed, because there is the blue on each of them. Blue is our color, kind of. So we wanted to use that for first release and for first batch. But we never know, like in the future, we might test something different, different color scheme, maybe something that could be a Pepsi as well. I don't know. But for the moment, we really would like to stay on these 3 first. And I have to say my favorite, which is depending on your mood. Sometimes you are in mood that you wear more colors, like cold colors or warm colors. But I think the best one is the blue and green, which is very cold, but very summerish as well. I don't know. It's very interesting scheme, and this actually why it's on my wrist every time.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they look fantastic, and the unique colors kind of set them apart as uniquely Baltic watches, I guess. So these are great. These watches are available right now for people to purchase. So maybe you could tell people where they could go to find these.
They're going to be available. We're going to ship them after, like, few days after the release. We will, of course, mention on the website when it's going to be shipped. So everything's going to be, quite clear in the way it goes. But yes, it's going to be in stock, and it's going to be on your wrist for Christmas. So it's pretty nice, timing to think about having a new GMT right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the watches look great. Congratulations on the launch. And Etienne, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a huge pleasure chatting with you today.
Thank you very much.
Take care.